If India refuses our energy supplies, it will suffer certain losses. And estimates vary. Some say it will be up to $9 to $10 billion if it refuses.
That's the Russian president laying it out bluntly. And he's not wrong about the math. Western nations, including the US and key European powers, are turning up the heat on India. Their demand is singular and sharp. Stop buying Russian oil. So what if India complies? What are the alternatives and how expensive will they be? Before the Ukraine war, India sourced nearly 85% of its crude oil from the Middle East. Iraq was the top supplier, followed by Saudi Arabia, the UAE and the US. Russia barely featured, contributing just 2% of India's oil imports. Then came the war and the discounts. Russian crude was significantly cheaper than the benchmark prices. India seized the opportunity, and by 2024, Russia accounted for 41% of India's 4.8 million barrels per day in crude imports. This pivot saved India an estimated $3.8 billion in financial year 2024 alone. But now, with Trump's tariffs threatening $87 billion worth of Indian exports to the US, the math is changing fast. If India backs off from Russian oil, it has options, but none are as cheap. Iraq, Saudi Arabia and UAE still remain logical suppliers. Proximity and existing infrastructure make them viable, but prices are higher than the Russian crude. The US crude imports jumped 50% in early 2025. Lighter, sweeter grades suit Indian refiners, but geopolitical tensions and shipping costs add complexity. Nigeria, Angola, Brazil, Guyana and Canada offer diversification. These sources are reliable but logistically more expensive. Let's break it down. India's annual oil import bill could rise by 75,000 to 91,000 crore rupees. That is around $9 to $11 billion if it moves away from Russian crude. That's the same figure Putin warned about. This increase will ripple through the supply chain, refining, transport and distribution. So if we assume that the cost of petrol in India is 100 rupees per litre, which is the current cost including Russian crude benefits, and Russian oil saves India around 3.8 rupees per litre on an average based on import cost differential, if India switches, then that 3.8 rupees per litre cushion vanishes. With this, petrol could rise to 103.8 rupees per litre. Adding to that, the cascading effects, that is, refining, margin loss, global price spikes, etc. The realistic hike could be 5 to 7 rupees per litre. Finally, petrol may cost 105 to 107 rupees per litre in cities where it's now at 100 rupees per litre. Diesel and LPG will follow the same trajectory. Transport, food, and essential goods will become costlier. Now, with the current situation, India must choose between saving a few billion on oil via Russia or protecting $87 billion in exports to the US. It is worth noting that India isn't stranded. It has the infrastructure, relationships, and refining flexibility to pivot. But the transition won't be painless. The common man will feel it at the pump, in the kitchen, and across the economy. If the world wants India to stop buying Russian oil, it must be ready to help shoulder the cost, or watch India recalibrate its alliance in pursuit of energy security.